fun, and we just enjoy getting to know everybody and sharing what we know, and also learning from everyone in this beautiful room, virtually and physically. So today we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, kicking corporate, escaping the 9 to 5, and using real estate as a way to do that. So I am a corporate escapee, and Brooke, I think she's got like a white shirt on, second row back, is our guest speaker as well. So you'll get to hear both of our stories, and we'll get into that in a little bit. So just run through intros quickly. So as you may or may not know, Sarah and I are both realtors. You're sitting in our lovely training room in our office at Realty One Group Discovery, and that is where we operate the Central Oregon Investor Network, which is exactly this. The network is meant to bring people together, and we really have created a community. And yesterday was a total testament to that, because we brought together an off-market deal from someone in our community and a flipper from someone in our community, and they're gonna joint venture together. So like, just so cool to see people doing deals together, and we expect that there will be more of that to come. So that's a bit about me. Sarah, do you want to say anything?
Oh gosh, you guys, my brain. Just super excited for you guys to get to know Suzanne on this level. She's extremely inspirational in so many ways, and I wish more people would be here to see this. But yeah, just glad that she's finally sharing this story with all of you.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, and we're both investors ourselves. So we do lots of different things, flips, live-in flips, all the things you'll hear about through my story. But Sarah also owns some long-term rentals in St. Louis. She's going to be selling some of those long-term rentals in St. Louis and reinvesting. So we're actually walking the talk, and we're still learning too. So, all right, well, let's hear from some of you after we get through the agenda. So we'll just do the quick, intros, but this is also a really important time of our meeting, is for you all to get to know each other. And I want to take the opportunity for you all to share information with each other after the meeting, online, if you're online as well, and we'll share that information, whatever you're comfortable with, email, your social, website, whatever it might be, and something that you're a specialist in, and that would just be helpful, because it's meant to bring people together, because we can help each other. So we'll be talking about how you ditch the 9 to 5 for freedom. Yeah. Oh, do I need to stop? No. Okay. I'm going to keep going. How you will ditch the 9 to 5 for freedom with a mindset shift. So reframing how we think about fear, talking about the numbers. So for those of us that are numbers oriented, we'll give you some good examples and ways to calculate how to actually do this. We'll talk about how to scale up and how to manage risk, whether it is real or perceived. And then at the end, I've got a 3-step action plan for you all, so that you can get started if corporate is something you're planning to exit. So let's hear from you. Let's hear from folks in the room first. We'll start there. We just want to know if you're aspiring or experienced investor, and if you're in a 9 to 5 or a corporate job now. So Sarah, maybe you want to pick someone to start in the room.
I mean, I'm just going to quick say for myself, I've never had a corporate job, so I can't relate to this. That's one reason why Suzanne and I are great. We balance each other out in that way. But I'll let you start, Christy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Christy. I'm a real estate agent here in Central Oregon. Suzanne and Sarah are my mentors. And aspiring real estate agent, I have been self-employed for 13 years now. So just looking to expand, and definitely always be surrounded by inspirational people like all of you.
Let's go down the line there, Sheree.
Oh, I'm Sheree, and I live here in Bend. I too have never been in the corporate world, so guess that got that out of the way. Huh? I am an investor as well, slow flip investor, and I'm also looking for quicker passive income, if you will. So like co-living and things like that. So
Yeah.
Cool. I'm Erin Ludding. I am no longer in corporate. I've been an entrepreneur for 7 years now, and I've never going back to corporate. I'm a serial entrepreneur now. I am an investor. I've been a real estate investor since 2004. And my latest venture is we are now getting into commercial, or bringing commercial construction business from California up to Bend. So specialize in all aspects of exterior, top to bottom. So anything from excavation and structural new construction repairs to roofing and property maintenance. So anything except single family residential. Cool.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name's Ben. Let's see. We live here in Bend. We are somewhere in between aspiring and experienced investors. We're on our first year of our journey. We purchased a primary residence last fall, so we've just been learning and meeting people, and most of which we've been learning and meeting people not in Bend. So we're super excited to be here today and meet all of you. And I do have a corporate job. I also run my own business, so I'm just trying to rotate on both ends there.
Hi everyone, I'm Jade Gershon. As Ben said, we live here. We just started our journey. We plan to for here, and just looking to get to know the investor community and meet more realtors for our next project. And yeah. Oh, and I do work 9 to 5 right now. Right now.
Hi, I'm Dave Webb, and my wife and I, we both have corporate jobs at the moment, part-time, full-time. We're somewhere again between inspiring and experienced, but we actually work in the commercial real estate sector, connecting aspiring or just passive folks that are interested in passive investing with sponsors to take down commercial deals. So we serve as that bridge, and we connect them with the opportunities, educate the investors a little bit on how to take down like a commercial syndication investment deal. So that's kind of we play the connector there between those two parties and help them get where they want to go with an investment deal that they're comfortable with. So that's part of what we do. Go ahead.
Yeah, Melissa, we live here in Bend. We've been here for, probably close to 20 years. Yeah. We're both originally from Oregon. And yeah, I work part-time as a traffic engineer and help him out with real estate stuff. Super interesting. Yeah.
John Hurwitz. I've been here about 2-3 months. I didn't have a corporate job that I quit, but I quit my job and moved up here. Been investing in real estate for about 10 years, which probably helped me quit things. Wanted to plug into the community here and consider investing further in long-term houses for the most part.
Hi everyone, I'm Brooke Everfine. I live here in Bend. I am an experienced investor, about 10 years, and I no longer have a corporate job.
Hi, I'm John Tarantino, and I've been in Bend for about 6 years now. My partner and I moved up here from the Bay Area, and I would love it here. I don't have a corporate job. My partner does, Lisa. And I've been an investor for a little over 20 years, but did it on a very small scale. And now just interested in just networking with people. I am interested in forming a real estate investment group here locally, but not in any hurry. Just looking, just kind of feeling it out right now. And just happy to be here and, networking. So thanks. Thanks.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelsey. I've been part of this group since last summer. Good to see y'all in person again. I do work a corporate job. I actually really like my job, but I don't know if I'll like my job in 10 years, 20 years. So it's just great to be part of this community, to see what y'all are doing. I own one midterm rental here in Bend. So nice to meet y'all.
Cool. Thanks. I'm Brady. I live here in Redmond. Hey, John.
Yeah.
We do commercial and residential construction. We just wrapped up a few custom homes.
Yeah.
One of them being John's.
That's funny.
So, good to see you. And then, yes, I do my work. I like to say 6 to 4, not a 9 to 5. Yeah, most days I like it, but would love to scale that back eventually. And we do have investments on the side, a couple different properties here locally. So.
I'm Justin. I'm also an agent here. Got my license to kind of help build my investing portfolio, and just kind of help be in the, just in it with real estate. I just quit my corporate job 2 weeks ago. Got 2 investments here in Oregon, right here in Central Oregon. So yeah, just looking to connect and build more and learn more, and yeah, all the.
I think that covers our room.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm gonna see who's 0 bites. Somebody on here is 0 bites.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I live here in Bend. I was a network engineer for a satellite company. Was laid off last September. But before that, we purchased property, some land in Crooked River Ranch. So now I want to figure out how to build and turn that around, sell it, and do that again.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And then Mary, hi, good to see you.
Hi, good to see you guys too. I'm Mary Grant. I moved to Central Oregon last summer from Colorado, and actually with the help from the team and Christy as our real estate agent, we bought our first property in La Pine. And I am just really looking forward to getting more information about real estate investing. I too work a corporate job, but it's fine for now. I would love to get into investing full-time in the future. So I'm just here to absorb all the information I can.
I love it. Great. And then Ty, good to see you again. If you're talking, there you are.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Ty, and I am also still working in my W-2 corporate world thing, but making some progress. Actually just closed on my second investment property today. Funny timing. I've been building a little portfolio out in Waco, Texas. And yeah, I really would like that to become the thing that gets me out of the rat race. So
I love it. Well, remind me, Ty, I've got a wholesaler in my mastermind that's in Texas. So if you're looking for off-market deals, I'd love to connect you.
okay, cool.
Yeah. Perfect. And then Jess Hexel, you joined just in time to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jess Hexel. I'm in the Orange County area, new investor in Bend, and just interested in learning more.
Fabulous. We're excited you're here. All right. And just again, an invitation to anybody online, if you want to pop your name, email, website, whatever you're comfortable sharing in the chat. We'll make sure that everyone has that, because there's a lot of great people in this room and I can already see some potential synergies amongst you. So let's dive into kicking corporate with real estate investing. And Brooke and I are going to do just some brief introductions to our stories, just so you have a chance to get to know a little bit of like how we got to where we're at. And then we'll do some more storytelling as we get into it. So I have a corporate background. I worked at Adidas and Teva. It's not Teva, it's Teva. I didn't know that until I worked there. But I worked in the footwear industry for 15 years. And early on in my career, I read the 4-Hour Work Week and was like, yes, I want to work 4 hours a week and retire on a beach. And this sounds awesome. How do I do it? And I didn't want to start a company selling widgets. I wanted to figure out a way to have true passive income. So within my network, I just started talking to people and realized that real estate investing is a business. So my husband and I bought our first rental property when we were still renters. So We were paying someone else's mortgage. We bought our first duplex in Portland in 11 years ago, and we fixed up the first unit before the first mortgage payment was due. And then by the time the second unit was done, 30 days later, we had our first passive income check. And I was just like, wow, this was not that hard. Like, everyone needs to know how to do this. So I was still working at Adidas. I was like, I'm going to get my license. I want to help other people do this. So I got licensed as a realtor. Did that on the side, mostly for friends, family, our deals. So I wasn't doing a ton of volume at that point, but it was really just to help people in my community. But I had a point where I was like, you know, I'm going to leave Adidas and just do real estate. And I left, and it was a little premature and I failed. At least I felt like I failed. I know that I learned and all those things that we say to ourselves, but I truly felt like I failed. So I went back to Adidas and really worked on foundation building for my real estate portfolio. And that was the turning point for me. So just a little plug here, like if you leave and it doesn't work out, you can go back. And it's not that, it was great to go back. So once I was back at Adidas, we started house hacking. I'll tell you more of that story in a bit. Then we started buying short-term rentals in Central Oregon. This is all while we're living in Portland in the 320 days of rain. You know, and the goal was to live in Bend someday. We thought someday was retirement. Well, we got here a lot faster. And so essentially COVID was what got us to Central Oregon more quickly. I was able to work remotely for Teva for 3 years, and I left Teva. I started the Central Oregon Investor Network once we moved to Central Oregon, double dipped. So I was selling real estate full-time, working full-time, no free time. It was a little bananas, but it made for a good foundation. Then I finally left Teva at the end of 22. And the latest thing that I'm doing is I'm a private money lender. So you'll hear lots more about some of these things as we go through our talk today. So over to Brooke.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try not to talk too much, but stick to my point. I'm Brooke again. Hello. I worked at Intuit, the people that make TurboTax and QuickBooks, for 13 years. I left that job last January, so I'm a year and 2 months out of corporate. I loved my job. I loved Intuit. I have 3 little girls and a husband and a dog. COVID brought us to Central Oregon. So we lived in San Diego prior to that, and my entire extended family was up here. We never thought we would have the opportunity to work in the industries that my husband and I have our jobs in here, but we were able to do that. Silver lining of COVID. But and some of my friends, bless their hearts, thought I did taxes because I work for TurboTax. I'm not a tax expert, but I love real estate, and I think a quick follow is taxes because they go hand in hand in so many ways. And my office, the next floor up was where all the tax accountants were, and so everybody works at TurboTax does their taxes at work because that's just what we do. So Coach just was like, "How can you pay less in taxes? You know, aren't there like loopholes and things like that?" And I was like, "No, I just want to go to jail." But finally, somebody said, "You know, hey, there's this guy, Paul. You should talk to him. He has a bunch of apartments." So he was a director of product development who was kind enough to have lunch with me a few times. But I just, from hearing his story, he had, I don't know, like 120 apartments in San Diego. And his goal was, hey, you know, he had a wife with an autoimmune disease and 2 boys. And he's like, well, at some point I might not be able to, you know, my priorities might shift and I need to lean into my family and I'm going to need to be able to financially support us. So I started doing this real estate thing on the side. And he's the kind of guy who drives a Honda Accord that's like 30 years old. And so it resonated with me that he said, you know, the day I don't want to work here anymore, I won't have to. It's like, oh, you know, I love my job too, but I want to be like you, to where there's a day that I don't want to be here anymore. I don't have to. So obviously that happened to me. And so in part of our family moving here to Central Oregon, I was managing our properties because I am a self-proclaimed control freak. I listened to Bigger Pockets in my 2-hour commute for years and years and years, and all that lovely traffic. And I read all the books on how to manage your own rental property and all the things. So I've been doing that for about 10 years, and we were able to slowly grow our portfolio. And full-time job, 3 kids, managing rental properties in the background. I got to a point where I ran my tax planning scenario through TurboTax, and I decided, trying to keep this short, you guys, I'm so sorry. I scenario planned like, hey, take my W-2 paycheck out of it. And because a lot of the passive losses that we get from real estate, my husband and I couldn't capture because of our income. And 3 times I put through TurboTax, and it said, if I didn't have a W-2, I would pretty much make the same amount of money because of my taxes that I'm paying. It's like, I'm paying to have this job that takes me away from, 50 hours a week getting home. So then I hired a CPA to do the 4th check, that my numbers were right. That was the day I resigned. And so me being me, I'm like, cool. And day one, I get to be a real estate professional. I get to put that tax hat on. And I met Sarah and Suzanne. I was like, I didn't know people like them existed. So like, how did you buy your stuff? I'm like, Redfin and Bigger Pockets. Like, I don't know. And so I love getting to know you two, and obviously this community of kindred spirits in many ways. But so yeah, very, very grateful. But yeah, and then so other people in my life are like, well, you're managing real estate. Can you manage mine? And in the state of Oregon, you need to be licensed to manage things for other people. So I didn't go the route of becoming a real estate agent. I became licensed as a property manager. So now I know a lot more about managing property. I continue to look for deals, as Sarah knows, and send her stuff like, hey, I found all these things that cash flow. Well, not that because I don't have a job anymore. So then I started looking at buying a business. So that's a whole different story. But moral story is now I own a property management company called Pioneer, and Jess is one of my customers. Hi, Jess. So we're looking after her property management.
I was with TJ.
Yeah, hi. So yeah, that's kind of the short of my. I'm sorry, I told you I'm trying to make it short. That's my story. Perfect.
I love it. All right. Well, you'll hear more of Brooke's stories as we go through too. So really, we're going to talk about the mindset roadmap to achieve financial freedom, so you can escape the 9-to-5. And the opposite of freedom is Green Dot Prison. Who's been here? If you don't know what Green Dot Prison is, you are very lucky. Brooke, you want to talk about this little story and the anxiety that it brings to us as corporate employees?
Yeah, Slack. I hate Slack. But Slack or Google Chat or you name it, and it has a dot. If you're active, you're green, and if you're not, and you have some a little bell in your head that goes, I'm not green, and you feel bad about it. That's Green Dot Prison.
Yeah, and it's like a real thing. It causes a lot of anxiety because basically it means like people are watching what color your dot is, and if you're yellow, that means you're not being productive. And I remember at one point I just made mine gray. But I had an employee when I was at Teva, Jess was like, we were out at happy hour or something, and she was like, oh, Suzanne, she's like, I just went on Amazon and I bought one of those mouse movers. Now my lights are always green and you'll never know if I'm actually working. And I was like, oh my gosh, we all just need to be like Jess and get a mouse mover. And like, we don't have this anxiety anymore. But that's not really the answer. We got to do a little bit more. And that's about reframing the fear. For me, I can speak to this from my own personal experience. Before I left Adidas the first time, I was real scared. When I was at Adidas the second time, after feeling like I failed, I was like, I'm here with one purpose, and that is to juice this W-2 for all it's worth. And it was a total shift in my mindset of like, how can I use you guys instead of the other way around? So I started to look at my 401k balance as my get out of jail free card. If working in corporate, at least at Adidas and Teva, we would have layoffs every 18 months. Everyone knew on Tuesday, like, don't pick up the phone because Tuesdays are layoff days. And that's, that was the other fear, right? Getting laid off. Well, when Teva called me back to Santa Barbara in November of 2022, I was like, yeah, how about you lay me off instead and I'll take a severance, and how about some healthcare too? So it was just a total different way of approaching this mindset. Instead of coming at it from fear, it's like I had the foundation built of, that I knew I could survive without and probably thrive better without Teva. So how do you get there? You run your numbers. And so we'll talk about that in a second. And this is like the fast forward, but there's a lot that takes to get to that place. So for some of our corporate employees, I would love to just hear, what's your biggest fear of leaving your job?
I mean, consistent income is always nice. Steady pace.
Healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare, definitely.
Healthcare.
So
PTO.
PTO. Oh, that's a good one. Yep. You don't get paid when you're not, well, you can get paid when you're not working if you're truly bringing in passive income. But yeah, those are all some of the same fears I felt. Brooke, anything else you can remember? No. We covered them. All right. Well, then it's about turning that fear into your strength. And instead of thinking, what happens if I leave is super scary, kind of turning that around again and saying, what happens if I do nothing? What am I missing out on? And kind of the YOLO mindset, for better or worse, right? Because although we know that things feel secure in our corporate jobs, we get the paycheck every 2 weeks or every month, and we know what to expect generally. Don't answer your phone on Tuesdays every 18 months. Truly, it's not really that secure. And this is all about reclaiming your life before it slips away in so many boring meetings. I had a lot of lame work trips. I had some really fun ones too, but and then just all the emails that feel so urgent in the moment. And then like no one even remembers those things, when you could be like Brooke or others, or the mentor that she had at Intuit that was like, my priorities may shift, like my family is important. So we want to turn that fear into our strength and own our future. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my journey of getting to the place of lay me off, because it took me a while to get there. I wasn't that bold. So my mindset shift, I'm going to just put on a little costume for you guys here. This picture is from 2018. Does this look familiar? I was looking through my stuff here. So I need to tell you where I am. I'm in Baja right now. I'm in my camper. I can see the ocean over there, and this is my mobile office while I work here. But I'm going to tell you how I got here, and that was by writing the Baja beach list. So 2018, January, just came back from 2 weeks of vacation because Adidas, thank goodness, they would shut down for 2 weeks because it was a German company. So I got a really nice break. I'm back in a windowless room in an 8-hour meeting, and I am so bored, and I start just booking a flight to Mexico because I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I need some sunshine. So I booked a flight to Mexico, and my husband and I came down here in February of 2018. And we have this running joke that every time we go somewhere sunny and warm and pretty, I look at him and I say, Bill, I could totally live here. And he laughs, we laugh, and whatever. Well, we got to Baja and we both looked at each other and we were like, we could live here. And that was the turning point. That was like, okay, we both found a place where we're like, this is what we want to do. Not full time. Like, we want to be here part time because it gets real hot in the summer. But our dream was to live part time in Baja and part time in Bend. And so we sat on the beach, on this very beach, on our last day of our trip and we wrote the Baja Beach List. And the Baja Beach List became our roadmap to freedom, and is how I am sitting here in the same outfit 7 years later to tell you my story. So, I'll talk to you about the Baja Beach List and how it evolved, but ultimately, it's the simplest way to explain it is we just have to figure out how to replace our income. But most importantly, we have to figure out what we are moving toward, right? It's like anything in life. You can't just like run away without a plan, which is kind of what I did the first time I left Adidas. I needed to have concrete action steps to get me to this big goal that seemed totally out of reach, because this is 2018, working at Adidas, living in Portland, and remote work was not even a thing. Like nobody worked remotely for Adidas, and it just was not part of the culture. So I was like, I'm going to have to leave somehow. I don't know how to do this. So I'm going to figure it out. So income replacement is the way we do that. And the good news is it's just math. And so it's really not that hard. So basically what you have to do is calculate your freedom number. I call it your freedom number, and it's super simple. You just have to calculate what your monthly expenses are, or your net annual take-home pay, whichever you can, works with your brain better, and that becomes your freedom number. So all of us in this room have a different number. Some of us live really frugally and still wear the same clothes 7 years later. Some of us don't, right? So, maybe yours is 5,000 a month. Maybe it's 25,000 a month. Maybe it's more. It doesn't really matter. It's just knowing what that number is. And it's not just like the survival number. This is your like, I want to thrive and do the things that are important to me number. And essentially, this is what your real estate investments and your passive income sources need to generate in order to replace your income, cover your expenses, and fuel the life that you want to live. So you may have heard of the FIRE movement. This is kind of where I started on my journey long time ago, probably 20 years ago. It's the Financial Independence Retire Early movement. And if you Google it, there's lots of information. And they have a formula. And I love formulas because it's like, just give me a plan and I'll figure it out, and I'll make it work for me. So their formula is a net worth formula of having $1 million generally, right? $1 million net worth, and doing a 4% drawdown every year for 30 years will give you $40,000 a year. Super simple math, right? And that works for tons of people in the FIRE movement. Like, maybe you're sitting there like $40,000. Yeah, right. Not in Bend, but it can happen. And you can just change the numbers however you need. But I'm a person, I don't like seeing balances go down. I like seeing them go up. So the FIRE movement was kind of where I started, but then I was like, no, I want to add assets and have income generating while I'm still doing this. So that's how I came to real estate investing. So I just want to approach that because there are other ways to do that. And if you're into FIRE, awesome. Like their system works. There's lots of cool stuff about it I can share with you if you're interested. But essentially how you calculate your income replacement, like we said, is your housing, your food, your insurance, so you've got to account for health coverage, any debt you have, and just your lifestyle, right? So then that becomes your freedom number, the amount you need to replace. And once your passive income meets your freedom number, then you're free. And the other thing is, like, maybe you have a partner who has a W-2 still and who has health insurance. So maybe you don't have to like replace all of these costs with your own passive income sources. How's my internet? Am I coming through okay?
You good?
Yeah? Good. Okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Starlink for the win. All right. So this is where we start looking to our corporate golden handcuffs for sources of money that can start generating passive income. And you know, for people like Cherie said, she's looking to generate passive income more quickly. Like, you don't have to just have these corporate sources, but you know, maybe you have a rollover 401k or rollover IRA. But in the corporate world, we have our salary, right? The money we get every month, and we're probably saving some of that. Some of us got bonuses or get bonuses from corporate that can sometimes be 5-6 figures. So looking at that and how can you leverage that to make it work for you long term. Our 401ks, as I said, some people get stock options or restricted stock units. There's also, for folks in leadership, things called long-term incentive programs or deferred compensation. Those are all little buckets of money that you can start to just think about in your mind as like, okay, I'm going to take that and use that to start fueling some passive income for me. So anyone think of any other elements, any other little buckets of money that you might have squirreled away? Maybe your health savings account or anything else that you get from corporate? Brooke, did you have anything else?
Not from a corporate perspective.
Okay, got it. Yeah, or like another thing could be inheritance, like those things we can't predict, right? So those are the things we have to start thinking about, is like not just sitting in our bank account earning like negligible interest. It's how we can figure out how to use these for our freedom. Because your freedom number, you know, it's all about knowing your number, creating your plan, and earning back your life. So now getting into my theory of real estate. I don't know if somebody else has this idea, but this is what I've come up with over the last 11 years of being a real estate investor. In real estate, you will invest, AKA sacrifice, one of three things: your time, your money, or your comfort. And you'll understand the comfort piece if you are a flipper or a live-in flipper like Sarah, right? You are sacrificing your comfort by moving into 1/3 of a house next week. So which investment are you willing to make to achieve your goal? I started with comfort, and I'll tell you that story. Sarah, do you want to talk about what you guys are doing quickly so people know why you're moving into 1/3 of a house?
So, I mean, this latest property that we purchased, we used a commercial loan product for, so I didn't have to use, you know, my debt to income ratio on it. You know, purchased it as an investment property, started tearing it apart, doing work on it. Unfortunately, it's a 3-level house, and the bottom level has like a mother-in-law unit, so like a 1-bedroom apartment. We left that intact, and my husband is a contractor and electrician, and he's been working on the first 2 levels, and I'm financing it, paying as we go, so it's going to go a little bit slower than if we were, you know, taking out a loan. But yeah, my family is renting one of our current primary residence in Northeast Bend, and getting ready to hop on over there and live in the 1-bedroom apartment as a family of 4 for a little while as we get the rest going. And then this is part of our BRRRR strategy, and then our goal is to get it to appraise at, you know, like 1.2 in about 6 to 8 months, and cash out there and move on to the next investment. So
Yes, so that's an example of investing or sacrificing your comfort on the short term to achieve your long-term goals. So, you know, I know some of us are in corporate, some of us aren't. You know, when you are in a job that requires your time and attention every day, what do you have least available? Probably your time, right? What do you have most available? I would say it's probably money, because we're getting that steady paycheck. We've got some of these other little bonusy things that keep us locked in and feeling secure and safe in our corporate jobs. And maybe we also have let our lifestyle increase with our income, and maybe we have more space than we actually need. So for those of us, like Brooke was saying at the beginning, you know, we have the least amount of time when we're like sitting on all these meetings and we're on these long flights, you know, for work. When can you sneak in time to learn? Well, obviously today at at noon is a great time to do that. Every third Thursday at noon, sneak into our office and learn. But she used her commute time. What was it? How long did you commute every day, Brooke?
Hours.
Wow.
2 hours each day. And what were you doing during those 2 hours?
The audiobooks.
Bigger Pockets audiobooks? Yeah, exactly. So, trying to utilize your time really well. And what I was doing when I was still at corporate, before I left the first time, on all my flights, I was taking my real estate education course and preparing for my exam. So that's how I passed the long flights, and it paid off. So now let's get into some numbers and how we actually calculate these things to make it a little more tangible. All right. So we're going to take the example of long-term rentals. And so who has long-term rentals? Was it John Tarantino? Yeah. Did I get that right? Anyways. Yes. Perfect. So John, you have long-term rentals, and I would imagine, what was your investment? Was it comfort, money, time?
Actually, I think we should skip over me because
Okay.
I did an investment about 20 years ago. I bought a small commercial building in Columbus, Ohio, and I've been managing that ever since. And
Nice.
I was in property management here, and now I'm just looking to shift gears and get into more investing. I have to be honest, I missed a lot of opportunities just because I wasn't really interested in, making that much money. But now, as I'm older, almost 60, I'm like, oh, I better get my ass in gear because, I'm not getting any younger, and I certainly don't want to go back into the corporate world. So I'm very focused right now on building that portfolio.
Yes. I love it. Right. And if you know what your freedom number is, maybe it's a monthly number. I'm using some round numbers here of 10,000 a month, maybe double that if your number is higher. So essentially what we're solving for here, the equation is you need X number of doors making X amount monthly cash flow, right? It's pretty simple. And this is how Justin Stevens, if any of you all have met him in our network, how he and his wife came to their goal. So in this example, you would need 20 doors making $500 a month cash flow to cover this freedom number. And I know that sounds like a lot of cash flow, especially in our market right now, but it's totally possible. Like, you could buy a portfolio in the Midwest. Maybe Ty has a great deal that he's not ready to buy in Waco, Texas. You never know, right? There's definitely places where you can find a 20-door portfolio that each door makes $500 a month. And actually, we just found one in Klamath Falls because Brooke sent it to us. And this one is generating almost $4,000 a month. And the purchase price is like $650. It's bananas. So if you want more information on this portfolio of 3 duplexes in Klamath Falls, let us know. So it's totally possible. And that could be, that would get you nearly a quarter of the way towards your freedom number, which is super awesome with just one purchase. Okay. Any questions on that? Pretty straightforward. Okay, cool. So another way that I'm learning and loving, and you'll hear more about this in June, is about private money lending. And the investment here is pretty much just money. It doesn't even really take that much time once you get going and know how to do it. So let's say your freedom number is a nice round $100,000 a year. The way I look at this is looking at what I have in those little buckets, right? So maybe, I've got X amount of money and I need this certain ROI to generate my annual freedom number. So for example, here, if you had $400,000 in your 401k and you leave your corporate job, then you can put that into a self-directed IRA and use that to be a private money lender, generating 25% ROI, and there's your $100,000 a year. Like, it's actually like could be that easy. And if you're sitting there thinking 25% ROI is totally insane, and Suzanne, what are you talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you about my first private money lending deal, which I just did it last August. And I made way more than 25% ROI on this deal. So I'm going to tell you about this deal. And I sourced it from somebody in my mastermind. So I'm still learning about real estate. And that's why I hire and pay people to teach me more advanced stuff than I know. So I can help all of you and do cool deals like this. So this property was in Kentucky. The investor that I partnered with purchased it for $25,000, which I know sounds insane, but talk to Cherie if you don't believe me. She's got a lot of properties, 6, 7, 8 now, all under 35,000. How many?
Under 30.
Under 30. How many do you have now?
7.
Yes. See, it's totally possible. Totally possible. So I lent $28,000. I'm going to explain to you briefly why I lent him more money than he needed to buy it. And that is because I want him to have a sustainable business so he can keep his marketing going even when he's buying this property. So he gets $3,000 straight away, puts it in his pocket, and continues his marketing so that he can bring me more deals to fund. So short story there, you'll learn more about that in June. But ultimately, he knows what he's doing, and he sold this place for $64,900 right away. So he was not doing this as a long-term hold like Cherie does. And all I had to pay in terms of fees here was a closing fee. So how did this deal play out? All right, so it was a JV deal. JV just means joint venture. You can structure these any which way you want, super open. But essentially, I got first lien position. So if my investor didn't pay me back, I got a house that was worth $65,000, which is not a bad deal. And I only paid $28,000 for it. My minimum profit, as we wrote in my JV agreement, was I was going to get $6,000 no matter what happened in 6 months on this deal, which was a 21% ROI. So that was pretty awesome. And he also added in this super cool little incentive that for anything over my investment amount, I would get an additional 30% upside. So kind of like a profit share, which is super fun. And made the deal really exciting for me. So how did it work out? Well, 4 months later, I got a check for my $28,000 back and an additional $11,025. So that was 39% ROI in 4 months, which like totally blew my mind because I mean, this was a 5-figure investment and I made a 5-figure profit. Is every deal like this? No. But I did just go through my little tracker and I can tell you that my average ROI is truly 25%. This deal is an outlier. So like who would take a 5-figure profit on a 5-figure investment?
Right? Some communication.
Yeah, and it's like not crazy amounts of money either. So it's not like I'm always lending out, 6 figures. It's so fun to just do some of these little ones. And why does he pay so much? Because he does a lot of deals and he wants to have good lenders that are ready to go when he's got one. So is he overpaying? Maybe, but he's happy to do it. So that was super cool. And I've got more deals like that that I've got out right now. So that's just one example. And I just want to talk quickly about active to passive investments, right? And this is how my brain categorizes these things in a continuum. Maybe somebody thinks differently, but I think the flip is going to be your most active. You have to be most involved. You're investing a ton of time, money resources. You know, the BRRRR, kind of the live and flip, maybe is right next to that, and then gets a little bit more passive as we go into long-term rental. I think short-term rental is slightly more passive because usually those folks are hiring a property manager and they don't want to deal with it. A house hack, I think it was less active. You know, once it's set up, it's pretty easy peasy. Being a private money lender is certainly the most passive I've done. And then, who is it? John and Melissa, Dave and Melissa can talk to you about syndications, which are like, all you do is send in your money. I mean, you analyze the deal, obviously, but like, that's pretty much it, right? You just send in your money and collect a check.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So there's lots of different ways to utilize your money to create the passive income. So we're going to go back to the Baja Beach list. Here's my cute little outfit. Yay. So I wrote the Baja Beach list, and essentially this was the idea of what we were going to do. Didn't know how it was all going to play out, but we knew we wanted half-time in Bend, half-time in Baja. And we lived in a house that was too big for us. So we were like, cool, let's figure out a way to update the top 2 floors and turn the basement into an apartment. And oh yeah, we want to live away from all of our friends and family that we've lived near for me, like my whole life. So I probably need to test out what it's like to live somewhere else. So I wrote down that I wanted to have a quick little live abroad test, and I was going to use Adidas as the way to accomplish that. And then how were we going to get our Bend STR? I didn't know, but I knew I wanted it, so I put it on the list. So this was kind of, I mean, this was like, I wish I had a picture of the list to show you, but that's essentially how it looked. So my first investment was house hacking, and we've talked about what that is. I invested my comfort. So I'm going to just show you what this house looked like. Wait, can I do that? Where am I at? Yeah, so basically this house was too big. It was like 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and the basement was set up. You can kind of see it here on the ceiling. Do you see that? It's red. That is red shag carpet. This was a party house, you guys. We bought it like this. We bought it like this, and it made for a lot of really fun parties here. And it came with a pool table. It had zebra print couches that were built in all around, so you could like sit down and have your drinks, and like straight up from the 70s. And so at first we rented this place out long term, like the whole house. And we had very interesting tenants who left us parting gifts like portable stripper poles. So that was really interesting. And then we moved in right after that and gave it a nice deep clean and realized, you know, this house is definitely too big for us. So, you know, it was pretty dated. You can see the kitchen was pretty old. So essentially this bar right here, wait, let me show you right here, is that right there. And this is what it looks like today. So this is our kitchen. We did a little IKEA kitchen. This is our dining room table. But this is a 900 square foot, 2-bed, 1-bath space with a lot of storage in addition. You know, so I invested my time. I love using the paint sprayer. So that's my favorite job. There's lots of pictures of me doing that. So we invested our comfort in our house hack experiment, and we moved into the basement apartment. So Baja list was written in February. In March, I was on a flight back from a Germany trip for Adidas. And on that flight, I wrote down that I actually wrote my proposal to work and live abroad with Adidas on that flight, came home that day, and my husband had already demoed the entire basement and the top floor. So we were like getting ready to get up and make this happen super fast. So like literally 1 month later, we were working on our list. And so the house hacking, we invested our comfort. we eliminated our number one expense because we rented out the top floors to a family of 6 with 4 children under the age of 10 that would run around and yell and scream and laugh and cry. And we lived below them. But someone else was paying our mortgage, and we were getting $500 a month in cash flow. So the cool thing about that was my proposal to live abroad in Germany got accepted. And we were ready to rock and roll. So we rented out our house in August of 2018, and we moved to Germany. And this is Oktoberfest. So I actually got to go to Oktoberfest in my little Dirndl and drink big things of beer. And so we still had a little apartment to come back to that we could lock and leave when we left for 6 months and come back to. And that's where we lived for the next 2 years, I think, under that family of 6 when we came back. And so then, okay, so we came back from Germany. Oh, no, we were in Germany. Sorry, follow along here. We're in Germany, and we know the Baja list says our next step is we want to live part-time in Bend. So what are we going to do? We're going to buy a Bend STR. What are we going to invest? Well, here's how it looked. We invested our time, number one, because my husband's a contractor, and we invested our money in making this place a cute little STR in 3 Rivers. And the cool thing about this is I was in Germany when this popped up on my Redfin. It was 2018, November. I called the realtor I knew in Bend before video tours were a thing. And I was like, hey, can you get over to this place and take a couple of videos of this little place and tell me what you think? So he goes over there and he's like, yeah, this is a teardown. And I was like, what? To us, it looked like a cosmetic flip. To him, it looked like a teardown. So we bought it, and we actually we bought it, and we closed on it. So we came back from Germany, got straight in the car, drove down to Bend to First American Title, signed the papers, and then went to see the house for the first time. So I remember that drive very clearly. I was kind of nervous, like, what did I just do? I just bought a house that I've never seen, and someone told me it was a teardown, but here we are. So in this one, we invested our time and our money. And what did we get for that? We had our Bend home base. After 3 months working on this place, Bill lived there while I was flying back and forth to Adidas because I still couldn't work remotely. So we had some STR revenue coming in after 3 months. And then we also had our bonus depreciation back when it was 100%. So that was super cool. So I just want to show you, this all happened in like a year, less than a year. Wrote the list, did the house hack, moved to Germany, bought a house in Bend, all in less than a year. And this is kind of how it looks visually. We put in the time, put in the effort, and this was all before I even left corporate. So this whole time, I'm still earning my paycheck. I'm still getting my bonuses. I'm, all these other fun little things that Adidas did. So that is the quick story of how I got to this little camper in my same outfit. So let's talk quickly about some of the risks of leaving the 9-to-5. And we talked about these briefly at the beginning, some of our fears, right? The biggest one that I had, and I think a lot of us have, is health insurance. And, for people like Sarah, who have never had a corporate job and no one's ever paid for their health insurance, they're like, what's the big deal? But for those of us that are like, we have only ever had someone else pay for our insurance, there are other solutions. And yes, you can go on the, what's it called? The exchange, the health insurance exchange, and do that whole thing, which I did. But smart people like Christy, who's been self-employed for 13 years, told me about Liberty Health Share. And then somebody else told me about Crowd Health. These are health share programs that are honestly, in my mind, so much better, so much cheaper, and so much more comprehensive and less risky than health insurance. And it like totally blew my mind when I found these. And I feel more confident having my health share than I ever did with health insurance that cost me 4 times as much. So I just want to dispel the myth of crazy expensive, useless health insurance. I mean, that is true. You can definitely pay for that, but there are better options out there. Anyone want to say anything about, Christy, do you want to talk about your health share experience?
Yeah, I just want to say too, like you experienced recently. So I was born and raised in Spain. So like I have the health share, it's $250 a month. And I think it's like my specific one is a $3,000 deductible. I know that if anything serious happened to me, I would go back to Europe, but also you don't have to be a European citizen to receive healthcare there. You can go, so for example, dental care. Suzanne, just in my hometown, went to my childhood dentist and got dental work for half the cost of what it would be here. So I think
10%
a lot of times,
10% of the cost.
okay. So a lot of times we have this fear. Yeah, okay, something happens in your car, you're going to be covered by auto insurance, but like, okay, maybe cancer, maybe you'll have time to go somewhere else to help with that. But it's like, it is health insurance in the US keeps you trapped. And it's like, it's so bad the way it's ran here, healthcare. So I'm all for the health share and then go take a vacation to address any health concerns.
Health tourism is a thing, or medical tourism is definitely a thing. I know we're at 1 o'clock. Hopefully y'all can stick with us for a little bit longer. I promise we're almost done and we'll have time for questions and chatting and all the things that we love to do. But the other one that I felt when I left corporate the first time was a lack of structure, because I was just like so used to everyone, like to my calendar basically dictating my day, and people would put meetings on my calendars and I knew my seasonal ebbs and flows, and I was just like, I don't know how to do this without like this corporate structure. So one thing you'll learn about me is like I just pay for help. You can hire a coach or 2 or 3 like me. I had 3 coaches. I had a life coach, I had a career coach who helped me navigate the exit from Adidas to Teva, and then the exit from Teva to just doing real estate. And then I also had my real estate coach. So like everyone won in this plan because a lot of people got paid to help me make this leap. But I took it seriously because I wanted help, and I knew I needed to have an accountability partner or 2 or 3 to actually make this leap after I felt like I failed the first time. So don't be afraid to pay someone for help, because I can tell you all those coaches that I paid, that investment has paid me back 10,000-fold for sure. The other one that I heard you all say is no more steady paycheck. And this was something that I struggled with as well, because it's just so nice to like just not have to like be so on top of your checking account every month and know down to the dollar how much you have, and feel that stress again in our lives once we've gotten past it. So the solution that one of my dear friends helped me set up that just mentally helped me was like, I just started setting up biweekly deposits from my passive income sources. So at that time, I didn't have private money loans. I wasn't doing that, but I did have real estate income and cash flow. So I just started putting $500 a week, or $1,000 a month, or whatever is reasonable for you. Started putting that into my checking account so that I felt like I had the income. And it's just, again, some of these things are just like little mind games that we have to do with ourselves to get ourselves over that fear. And we can just as easily set up our biweekly paychecks as ADP or whoever your payroll system is at your company. Does anybody do this? Who's an entrepreneur, like pay yourself? Do you like, and anyone know the profit first model? Yeah.
That was so game changer for me, because I'm paying myself no matter what else, and it definitely mindset change. Very helpful.
And there's a great book called Profit First for Real Estate. And that's, Cherie, you have that book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't read it.
All kinds of books. I'm like, read a page here, read a page. Then what was this about? So yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely go.
essentially it's paying yourself first. You know, when you get your paycheck in, or like, you know, when Sarah and I get a commission check in, you know, we set aside a certain amount for us, a certain amount for taxes, a certain amount for what else? I don't know, savings, you know, but we're paying ourselves first. So it's a great book. You can find it on Amazon, Profit First for Real Estate. All right, the biggest risk, and I have my little broken heart here because I really did have a broken heart when I felt like I failed the first time when I left Adidas and fell flat on my face. But you know what? You can hire a coach or more. You can make moves before you leave, like I did the second time, and you can always go back. And it was so fun to go back. And, you know, I just shifted my mindset and I looked at it as, again, like I said, I'm going to juice this W-2 for as much as it's worth. And I was able to do that and get out of there within the scope of a couple of years. So just want you all to start thinking, those of you that are in this place and feeling like a little bit trapped or, you know, not sure what to do, you know, just think about what you can do now to prepare for that leap into working for yourself and not worrying about how many PTO days you have left, because you get to actually put them on your own calendar and there's no limit. So while you're still getting your steady paycheck, there's a few different things you can do. You can start figuring out what your DTI is. Any good lender will help you figure that out for free. If credit is your issue and you know you need more credit or better credit, work with someone to boost your credit. Another cool thing to do is just register an LLC. Like as soon as you do that, you can tell people with confidence, I am a business owner, even if you don't make any money yet. So that one is another mind shift as well. And going back to our golden handcuffs here, you can start looking at how you can turn those golden handcuffs into income producing assets now. So we've had someone on talking about self-directed IRAs. There are a lot of great companies that can help you do this, so you can start using your IRA money to invest in real estate yourself or to be a private money lender. If you get bonuses, you can use your bonus and try a private money loan, you know, for $25,000 or whatever it might be, or even $5,000. There are still people, like, you can loan very small amounts of money and get good returns on it. Or you can use your W-2 to buy a short-term rental in a place where you want to spend some time. So you can, you know, buy your second home somewhere. Lots of different ways to do it. Anyone have any other ideas of like how you can do all this while you're still earning your income, or things you have done?
It might be rare, but your tax refund.
Yes, great point. Totally. Yes, and good timing on that. Brooke, was there anything that you did proactively?
The only thing that I would add, the 3 things that you're going to give up or invest, as you said, time. I think time means two things in that equation, because kind of the time value of money, like just waiting and being patient. Patience is so hard, especially the world we live in today. It's like instant gratification, but it's just those little things that, as you just illustrated in the last hour, snowballed into really amazing things, and just having the confidence to start and try it, and not thinking about what if it doesn't work, but thinking about what if it does.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, that's that mindset shift of like, you know, did I really think I was going to be able to like work as a realtor and living in Baja? Like, I mean, it was a dream, but until I met Sarah, it was not a reality, you know? So we can, I just want to also say like the power of writing down your goals, even if they seem insane and out like totally unachievable, write them down anyways, because you never know who's going to pop into your DMs like Sarah did with me and form an amazing partnership that allows us both to live the life that we want to live. So shout out to Sarah. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I just wanted to give you 3 steps. Talked a lot today. There's lots to remember, but the 3 things you need to do. Number 1, calculate your freedom number. Know how much you need to cover monthly or annually to replace what you're making and live the life you want to live. I also think that you should check out your 401k balance or your IRA balance so you can start looking at that and thinking in the future of like, how am I going to deploy this? Like, what am I going to do with this once I'm out of corporate and it becomes a rollover plan that I control? And then write down your Baja Beach list, your version of whatever that is, and start putting pen to paper about your dreams, even if they seem crazy and unconventional. And also just want to say, like, if anyone is interested in the private money lending with the example I shared, I have lots more to share in June. But if private money lending is something you're interested in, I would love to send you the 2 documents that I wish I had had when I started and I ended up creating for myself to evaluate deals quickly and to keep track of them, because now I have so many people coming to me that I have to keep a tracker of what their deal is and you know how it fits into what my goals are. So would love to send that to anyone. If we have your email, I will send that off to you by the end of the week.
Yeah.
Any questions? Comments? Was this helpful?
I think there's one other option too, is you can do what I do and just leave your job and don't figure it out. Test yourself.
Are you single?
Suzanne, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Where you mentioned like your first investment with like the house hacking and kind of flipping that basement portion, where was that located?
Portland.
Portland? Cool.
Yep. So yeah, North Portland. I used to be able to walk to work. So unlike Brooke with her 2-hour commute, I was able to walk to Adidas every day or bike, which was really nice. Yeah. Any other questions?
Did you use any of your 401 rollover as, did you take that portion out of your existing 401? I hear that's possible, but you kind of have to get permission from corporate to do that.
That is a good question. Yeah, I still haven't tapped into my 401k. So I'm telling you this. Luckily I'm just a saver, and so I would squirrel away my bonuses and save a bunch of money because I wear 7-year-old clothes. And so there are ways you can borrow against your 401k without penalty when you're still at corporate, and it just depends on the plan owner's rules. But my understanding is generally you have like 6 months to be able to borrow and pay back without penalty or interest.
Actually, I meant your like former jobs that you took those former 401s and you just put it into your existing, if anybody knows.
Self-directed IRA.
Yeah, you just pull that out of your existing to put it into an SDRA. So I don't know if that's, again, you have to get permission from whoever that is. Of course,
You do not.
You don't work at the company anymore, the money's yours. You can roll it over wherever you want.
Right, but if you rolled it over into your existing company, can you still pull that out?
No, it's in the new company.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I heard that you have to try to finagle them or tell them, this is my money that I brought to you. I should be able to take it out. But okay, I just want to know if anybody is.
Put it in your own account.
Yeah.
But
I wish I knew that.
Unless you are like 59 and a half, if you're 59 and a half and still employed, you can start with taking your money out of the corporate and move it into your own other investments.
Yeah, I have another year to go.
And
Yeah, good question though. And that's something I think for everyone to know. Nobody tells you that stuff when you leave corporate and then start a new job. Like it seems like, oh, I should just roll my money all over into the new corporate plan. But no, you definitely want to like open up your own rollover IRA with like Charles Schwab or Vanguard or, you know, wherever, Edward Jones, whatever you're comfortable with, so that you can have control over that money. And then eventually, if you want to put it into a self-directed IRA, then you can also control what it gets invested in. Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for hanging with us. We always go over time, but we do that because it's so fun and we love chatting with you. And we're so glad you showed up today. So if you want to get in touch with Brooke or me about any of these topics, whether it's kicking corporate, private money lending, property management, real estate investments, all the things, you can snap our QR codes here. And you also know where to find us too. Yeah, we're just so happy you're here. And next month, you guys, we have another community member coming back to talk to us about buying at auction. So this could be a great next step for some of you who are itching to get an off-market deal and have cash or funding sources to do that. Jonathan Barr is going to talk to us about buying at auction in April on the 17th.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing and being so vulnerable with us, Suzanne. And it's just been so fun to watch you come along this way. Like when Suzanne and I first got together, she still had a corporate job, and I was there when she made the big second plunge, you know, and it was scary, you know, and she's brave. So
can Suzanne go back to that contact?
QR code. Can you go back to the QR code?
There we go. There you go. Yeah, I'll leave that up. And, you know, I know y'all take some time to mix and mingle and do all that. I can hang on and, you know, answer questions too. And yeah, just want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys want to contact our first year. Yeah, here's the thing. Companies can make their own rules. There's never a generally, the whole idea this is money that people shouldn't be able to touch because they're saving. Right. So it's almost never. It's really hard. It's really hard. I told you can take a loan. Yeah. And you don't pay any penalties when you take a loan out, and depending on how they don't have
So let's say you get laid off or fired or whatever, then you're gonna throw away because that would not count.
Now you're not still company, so now you can have
But as a
This is really interesting sector of real estate, and whatever you want.
Right? Yeah. Got to kind of solo reply anyway.
But I really want to say you guys just to learn more about what you want to be. It's like there's like a whole topic.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely a great spot. For those who just want to sit back. Typically they do. Way more legalized than part of that is actually why folks like myself do these things. You're a credit investor. So if you're that makes it a little easier. We can talk to if you're not just totally forward, you're still being involved. You have to have a bit of a working relationship first. So it's kind of nope, not in terms of not different. It's just how you can kind of approach it. Generally, I see most stuff go to start around 50. I see there's most so yes, beyond that, people want to get involved.
Your company invest it, and then at some point
right. So there's other things like a pool of investment. When people go and they pool their stuff together, right? And then I work with actually all my connections are on the sponsor right now. And so it's really not people. I like all my sponsors are just South, you know, they're working there. Hard for industrial housing. It's just fun. It's great to talk to them. Hey, you need to capitalize $millions. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, see how the space is that. And so that's why
I would love that.
Yeah, because it's not a problem. It might not even be a problem. Different deals. Whatever profit the property bringing in, right, exactly. So the downside is coming from their own field, trying to long-term short-term there you're like, I'm ready for that.
Other exit sectors, they let all these go, and it's all what they have, but it's way more popular. So one of the reasons that I know all of these are
here's part of that question is like, well, that's the only thing, you know, you must try to figure out how to drive it. You know, like people that
the solar hall and yeah, you do all kinds. All different sizes. That's what they can.
Yeah, just like if their return is 5 years.
Right, right.
And again, not a lot of time for here.
Right, yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting thing. So usually like the cool down period, they say, this shift, third day cool off, and then you can start talking to
I'm not also financing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it takes a while to get that. It's $1 million in assets, and you gotta be putting in $600,000 a year or $300,000 a year. There's actually one other way to do it. That's not the side. Yeah, so that's
Well, I'm newer to it. I grew up in real estate.
Yeah, that's great. I've actually done that. So yeah, I was on that side. So,
Short, smaller.
that right in the size. Is it? No, oh man, sorry. I was like,
That's right.
oh man, like from the beach, now just go straight up from there.
Yeah, it's simple.
It's a small town, real small town.
It's not as small. It's a city area.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's smaller. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if you were
I would say it's south central.
Yeah. What were you doing there?
Foreign exchange. So my dad worked with a guy that was in Florida, and the kids, the family swapped every summer. Their kids stay here, and they vacation to Spain.
So great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, but
Yeah.
bought my first house in 25.
Nice.
I get my license.
Yeah, so that's what the world, yeah. Well, that's what we all do. We don't do any repairs around it. And so I've just developed into this.
I think it's fascinating.
Buyers, yeah.
So
So now I'm just we're selling it
Learning is the most hard.
So just let me know what
You're gonna get this crazy unique story, from a crazy unique spot. You're like,
and I love it. Honestly, like one of the things that I value is like not having this.
oh yeah, no, for sure. Right.
So this is like any of my workshop clothes, and then we like
Like today, I was like, I'm like, you're dressed up.
I know.
I should do this.
So I can just go out and like, you know,
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something else that's probably like, for all the years, there's been the quality of life.
That's really nice.
And then I can just work on that. You see like the topic.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's math, here's English, or whatever.
Yes.
And where's the quality of life class?
So we're posting it like what is value, but like slowing down and I can build a life to you. Like whatever that may be.
I'm so interested in why they do that, because I feel like sharing conversation, not my current job. I have a corporate job, but I just say I'm working at a farm.
Yeah, commercial deals are larger scale. I mean,
I've been working at Target 20 years full time for 20 years. So before that, I had an awesome career in the military. went really hard to get there, burned it on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burn once you're in the ground, you got little. Look at this for a while. I just look back there like this. Pedal to metal isn't where we're getting older, but yeah, we're gonna do something.
I'm sure we have risks that you take that have not worked out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, communication. No, we're really, our teams are really pretty conservative. We go in. Yeah. The other 14 that I've worked in, they're way more experienced than I am because they're operators. People are smarter than you, which is advanced. Yeah, people only ever heard one thing.
There's a lot of fun stuff.
And you're the owner of this company?
Oh,